Hello, future chemists. Welcome to an exciting journey into the world of chemical thermodynamics, specifically focusing on equilibrium. Have you ever wondered why some reactions seem to stop, or how industries manage to produce chemicals so efficiently? Today, we'll uncover the secrets behind this delicate balance. We'll start with the basics, then dive into deeper concepts, tackle challenging problems, and finally, explore competitive insights crucial for your G-main preparation. Let's begin. Ready to explore the fundamental concept where reactions find their perfect balance? In chemistry, not all reactions go to completion. Many are reversible, meaning products can react to form reactants again. Equilibrium is that fascinating state where the rate at which reactants form products, called the forward reaction, becomes exactly equal to the rate at which products transform back into reactants, the reverse reaction. It's crucial to understand that this isn't a static stop, instead, it's a dynamic balance. Molecules are still constantly reacting, but on a macroscopic level, like observing concentrations or pressure, there's no net change. For this balance to be achieved, the system must be closed, preventing any matter from entering or leaving. And interestingly, you can reach this equilibrium state whether you start with just reactants or just products. Let's look at some examples. A simple, physical equilibrium is ice and water at 0 degrees Celsius. Ice melts into water, and water freezes into ice, both at the same rate. For chemical equilibrium, consider the famous Haber process for ammonia synthesis, nitrogen and hydrogen reacting to form ammonia. At equilibrium, the rates of ammonia formation and decomposition are equal. A visual example is the dimerization of nitrogen dioxide. NO, a reddish-brown gas, forms colorless NO. As the reaction proceeds, the color gradually fades. Once the color stops changing and becomes constant, you know the system has reached equilibrium. This constant color signifies that the concentrations of NO and NO are no longer changing, even though individual molecules continue to interconvert. Time to test your understanding of these basic equilibrium concepts. Take a moment to read and answer these 3 practice questions. Think about the definitions and characteristics we just discussed. Pause the video if you need more time, then continue to check your answers and solidify your grasp on the fundamentals of chemical equilibrium. Now that we've mastered the basics, let's deepen our understanding of how equilibrium is quantified and predicted. The law of mass action, proposed by Guldberg and Varge, is foundational to understanding equilibrium. It states that at a constant temperature, the rate of a reaction is proportional to the product of the concentrations of the reactants, each raised to its stoichiometric coefficient. This led to the concept of the equilibrium constant, K. For a general reaction, Candace-Corsi is expressed using molar concentrations, while Candace-Corpi uses partial pressures for gaseous reactions. The value of K is a constant at a specific temperature and tells us the extent of the reaction. A large K means products are favored at equilibrium, indicating the reaction proceeds extensively to the right, while a small k suggests reactants are favored. For gaseous reactions, there's a direct relationship between Candace-Corpi and Candace-Corsi. Using the ideal gas law, we can derive Candace-Corpi equals Candace-Corsi multiplied by RT raised to the power of delta Ng. Here, delta Ng is the difference between the sum of stoichiometric coefficients of gaseous products and gaseous reactants. If delta Ng is 0, then Candace-Corpi simply equals Candace-Corsi. Next, let's talk about the reaction quotient, Q. It has the same mathematical expression as K, but it uses concentrations or pressures that are not necessarily at equilibrium. By comparing Q with K, we can predict the direction a reaction will shift to reach equilibrium. If Q is less than K, it shifts forward. If Q is greater than K, it shifts reverse. And if Q equals K, the system is already at equilibrium. Equilibria can also be categorized based on the phases of the substances involved. In a homogeneous equilibrium, all reactants and products exist in the same phase, for example, all gases or all in an aqueous solution. A classic example is the formation of hydrogen iodide from hydrogen and iodine gases. In contrast, heterogeneous equilibrium involves reactants and products in different phases, such as solids and gases. A key rule here is that the concentrations of pure solids and pure liquids are considered constant and are therefore not included in the expression for the equilibrium constant. For instance, in the decomposition of solid calcium carbonate, the Candice-Corsi expression only includes the concentration of carbon dioxide gas and Candice-Corpi only its partial pressure. This distinction is vital for correctly writing equilibrium constant expressions. Now, let's apply the concepts of the law of mass action, the relationship between Candice-Corpi and Candice-Corsi, the reaction quotient, and types of equilibria to these 5 practice problems. These questions will challenge you to write expressions, calculate values, and predict reaction directions. Take your time, work through each one, and consolidate your understanding of these medium-level topics. Ready to delve deeper? We'll now explore the thermodynamic underpinnings of equilibrium and how external factors influence it. The link between Gibbs free energy and equilibrium is fundamental. Recall that a reaction is spontaneous if its Gibbs free energy change, delta G, is negative. At equilibrium, delta G is exactly 0. The relationship is expressed as delta G is equal to delta G degree plus RT ln Q. At equilibrium, since delta G is 0 and the reaction quotient Q becomes the equilibrium constant K, this equation simplifies to delta G degree is equal to RT ln K. This powerful equation directly connects the standard Gibbs free energy change, a thermodynamic property, to the equilibrium constant, which describes the composition at equilibrium. If delta G degree is negative, K will be greater than 1, meaning products are favored at standard conditions. If delta G degree is positive, K will be less than 1, indicating reactants are favored. If delta G degree is 0, then K equals 1, suggesting an equal favoring of reactants and products. Le Chatelier's principle is a cornerstone for predicting how an equilibrium system responds to disturbances. It states that if you change the conditions, the system will shift in a direction that minimizes the effect of that change. For example, if you increase the concentration of a reactant, the equilibrium will shift to the right, consuming the added reactant to form more products. For gaseous reactions, increasing the pressure or decreasing the volume will shift the equilibrium towards the side with fewer moles of gas. Conversely, decreasing pressure or increasing volume favors the side with more moles of gas. Temperature changes also have a predictable effect. For an endothermic reaction, increasing temperature shifts it forward, while for an exothermic reaction, increasing temperature shifts it backward. Adding an inert gas at constant volume has no effect, as it doesn't change partial pressures, but at constant pressure, it increases volume and shifts towards more moles of gas. An important point to remember is the role of catalysts. A catalyst speeds up both the forward and reverse reactions equally by lowering the activation energy barrier. This means a catalyst helps the system reach equilibrium faster, but it does not change the value of the equilibrium constant, K, nor does it alter the final equilibrium position or the yield. The only factor that can change the value of the equilibrium constant K itself is temperature. Initial concentrations, pressure, or the presence of a catalyst only affect the position of equilibrium, not the constant. These principles are vital in industrial applications, such as the Haber process for ammonia synthesis and the contact process for sulfuric acid, where conditions like high pressure and moderate temperature are carefully chosen, often with a catalyst, to maximize product yield according to Le Chatelier's principle. Now, it's time to tackle some more challenging problems. These 7 questions require you to apply your understanding of Gibbs free energy, Le Chatelier's principle, and the role of catalysts. Think critically about how different factors influence equilibrium and its constant. Work through the derivations and calculations carefully. This section will significantly strengthen your problem-solving skills for competitive exams. Excellent! You've come far. Now, prepare to dive into the deepest levels of equilibrium, exploring its advanced thermodynamic aspects and complex industrial applications. Let's revisit the thermodynamic derivation of the equilibrium constant, K. From the fundamental principles of chemical potential, at constant temperature and pressure, the change in Gibbs free energy, dG, is zero at equilibrium. The chemical potential of each component, mu_I, is related to its standard chemical potential, mu_I degree, and its partial pressure or concentration. By summing these for all reactants and products at equilibrium, we rigorously derive the relationship ΔG degree is equal to RT ln K. This shows that K is not just an empirical constant but has a deep thermodynamic basis, linking the inherent spontaneity of a reaction at standard conditions to its equilibrium composition. This derivation solidifies our understanding of why K is constant at a given temperature. The Van 't Hoff equation is a powerful tool that quantifies how the equilibrium constant K changes with temperature. Its differential form, d ln K dt is equal to delta H degree, RT superscript 2, shows a direct relationship between the rate of change of ln K with temperature and the standard enthalpy change of the reaction, delta H degree. Integrating this equation between two temperatures, T and T, gives us the practical form, ln Kk is equal to delta H degree R asterisk 1T 1T. This equation is indispensable for predicting equilibrium constants at different temperatures and for determining whether a reaction is endothermic or exothermic by observing how K changes with T. For endothermic reactions, K increases with temperature, while for exothermic reactions, K decreases. Furthermore, in real-world scenarios, multiple reactions often occur simultaneously, leading to simultaneous equilibria. The overall equilibrium constant for a sequence of reactions is simply the product of their individual equilibrium constants, a principle crucial for understanding complex chemical and biological systems. To precisely track the progress of a reaction, we use the extent of reaction, denoted by 11, Z. This parameter represents the number of moles of a reaction that have occurred, scaled by the stoichiometric coefficients. For any species I, its moles at any point are its initial moles plus its stoichiometric coefficient multiplied by 11. This systematic approach is incredibly useful for setting up ice tables and solving complex equilibrium problems where initial and equilibrium amounts need to be precisely related. Beyond gas phase reactions, the principles of equilibrium extend profoundly into ionic equilibria in solutions. This includes acid-base equilibria, where we deal with Candace-Corey, Candace-Corby, and pH, solubility equilibria, described by the solubility product constant Candace-Corey for sparingly soluble salts, and complex ion equilibria, characterized by formation constants Candace-Corey. While these are often detailed in separate chapters, their underlying framework is the same dynamic balance we've been discussing, making these concepts universally applicable in chemistry. From a chemical engineering perspective, understanding equilibrium is paramount for optimizing industrial processes. Consider the Haber-Bosch process for ammonia synthesis, which is a highly exothermic reaction producing fewer moles of gas. Engineers apply Le Chatelier's principle by using high pressures, typically 150 to 350 atmospheres, to shift the equilibrium towards the product side. They also use a moderate temperature, around 400 to 500 degrees Celsius. While lower temperatures would yield more ammonia thermodynamically, the reaction rate would be too slow. So, a compromise is made, coupled with an iron catalyst to speed up the reaction without affecting the equilibrium position. Crucially, ammonia is continuously removed as it forms, further driving the equilibrium to the right, maximizing yield. Similar strategies are employed in the contact process for sulfuric acid. By meticulously controlling temperature, pressure, and removing products, chemical engineers ensure maximum efficiency and profitability, showcasing the immense practical impact of equilibrium principles. Alright, it's time for the ultimate challenge. Here are the first 5 problems from our hardest level. These questions demand a deep understanding of equilibrium concepts, including the Venti Hoff equation, simultaneous equilibria, and complex calculations. Take your time, apply all the knowledge you've gained, and work through each problem methodically. Success here signifies a strong command of the topic, preparing you well for competitive exams. Let's continue with the remaining 5 hardest level questions. These problems will push your analytical and problem-solving skills even further, covering topics like industrial optimization, derivations, and advanced conceptual understanding. Don't be discouraged if they seem tough. This is where true learning happens. Think critically, apply your principles, and strive for comprehensive solutions. Mastering these will undoubtedly give you a significant edge in your GMAIN preparation. And that concludes our in-depth exploration of chemical equilibrium. We've journeyed from its basic dynamic nature to its complex thermodynamic derivations and critical industrial applications. Understanding equilibrium is not just about passing exams, it's about comprehending the fundamental balance that governs countless chemical processes around us. For more such comprehensive educational content, practice questions, and interactive learning experiences, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for continuous learning. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep excelling in your chemical journey.